Clone drone in the danger zone is pretty fun. To give some context, the human race is in the process of being overrun by alien robots, and the minds of the captured humans have been put into robots that you now control in the game, and are forced to fight against more non-human robots for their entertainment. You are continuously put up against harder and harder floors of enemies until eventually you die and restart from zero. The combat is satisfying but cheesable. While more difficult enemies have stronger AI, you can still get them to walk into traps or just run circles around them, even get them stuck on certain walls. You get to choose an upgrade for each floor you pass, which leads to a good sense of progression, but I think there should be more. As it is, the only upgrades are getting weapons, armor, a revive, a jetpack, or more energy. You don't really go for specific builds, as there aren't enough options to, and you'll often have all the upgrades by the end of your run. It's too bad the developers didn't take advantage of the player being a robot to add maybe some body morphing upgrades. Maybe you could have made yourself bigger and hit harder, or smaller and more agile. Just a missed opportunity. Some weapons take multiple hands, so units carrying two-handed weapons instantly die if you even skin one of their arms. The player also has this restriction. However, instead of outright dying, you will switch to the sword, the default one-handed weapon. And if you lose a leg, you will hobble along at a slower pace, only dying if your other leg is lost. The game has a good amount of unique weapons. There's the sword, the default weapon that uses one hand and can be upgraded to deflect arrows and be lit on fire. It can also block, if somewhat inconsistently. The bow is the only ranged weapon. It would be nice if, I don't know, maybe there was another ranged option, like perhaps
the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch.
But there could be some personal bias weighing in.
3.
The bow uses an energy bar at the bottom of your screen that is also used for booster fuel. It uses two hands and certain sword units can deflect the arrows. I found myself spamming out all the arrows at the start of battle and then forgetting about it entirely. Units interact weirdly with this weapon, sometimes dying in a single shot, and other times appearing unfazed after getting shot multiple times in the chest. The spear can be upgraded to get a shield that wears down over time, as well as setting it on fire. The hammer is another two-handed weapon and can't be blocked. Its upgrades make it bigger and set it on fire, and let me tell you, it is very satisfying to use. There are three main single-player modes to play, the first being the story mode. It's fine, it's an inventive story but nothing crazy. There are 4 levels at the time of recording, but there will soon be 5, each with 3 difficulty options leading to a decent amount of replayability. They come up with some interesting concepts, like transferring into the body of your killer, but this has some issues. There were a few times where an archer unit killed me, so I transferred to him, and then had to face off against units that could deflect arrows, rendering my only weapon useless. Also, the unit Spidertron 5000 can't be played as, so if you die to him, it's an instant game over. I won't talk about the actual story to let you experience it yourself, but it's not something to buy the game for. The challenge mode is fun and brings some much needed variety to the combat. Each one puts you through a gauntlet where you are restricted in one way or another, whether that be to only use one weapon or to swap bodies with the robot that kills you. A fun bunch of challenges, with my sole problem being that for beating some of these, you unlock completely new upgrades like Flame Breath, and for others, all you get is a small trophy that only you can see. I got much more entertainment out of the Endless mode than I thought I would. It provides a great challenge to players of any skill level, and the difficulty scales quite nicely. However, the lack of variety starts to show quite quickly. You'll be seeing the same maps, fighting the same enemies, and hearing the same voice lines from the 2 commentator robots over and over, often the same ones in a single run. It's a shame, as some of their lines are pretty entertaining, but they lose their charm once they've said the same one a dozen times. The co-op Endless is much easier, to the point where it gets boring. As long as one player survives, all 3 players will be brought back at the end of battle, free of cost. Since you make it so far almost every run, you'll also run out of upgrades, which adds to the boredom. I lost more runs by everyone leaving the game than from actually losing. Now, there is a multiplayer version of challenges, and I'd love to tell you more about them, but after searching for over half an hour with the most broad options available, I've yet to find a match while playing these. Anyway, the Versus mode lets each player pick a few upgrades before putting 12-ish players into a small map. The map slowly closes until there is 1 player left, who wins the game. Upgrades are put randomly across the map, and to get it, a player must stand in a zone for a few seconds before they will receive the upgrade. Like the other multiplayer modes, this game mode is fun, but nothing special. Lag will often get you killed, lobbies will start with only 2 people in them, camping is the best option, and if you ever lose a leg, you might as well give up, as anyone with both limbs left can run circles around you. Unfortunately, I was unable to ever play the final multiplayer mode, Private Duels, as it requires a friend to play, a barrier of entry far too steep for me. The sound design is great, the slicing and bashing sounds all lend to a sense of realism, but the music is lackluster. Only a few tracks are played with none of them sticking out to me. While this game could sorely use more variety in many different categories, it is still a game I found worth my time. There is still much potential in the upgrade system that I hope Dobrog Games undercovers before releasing the full game, but as it is, with the game at $20, I would recommend waiting until the game goes on sale before buying it. Thanks for watching.